What's up, everybody? It's your boy Ryan, and this is the Thunder Channel on nootropics, on testosterone, on performance, on feeling, performing, and functioning awesomely. I'm your host, Ryan Michael Ballo. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to get notified of all the content, get the YouTube app because it'll notify you in real time. Products support this broadcast. They are the Cortex Stack. This is a nootropic, the Torque Stack. And then lastly, biohacking consulting. If you need to hire me, you can do that in under a minute at livecortex.com. And I'll explain all that stuff later, but let's get into it. All right, so the best nootropic pre-workout right off the bat is phenylpiracetam. But since that compound is a lot harder to find these days than it used to be, there is another compound which is essentially just a sort of hydrazide derivative of phenylpiracetam, and it's called phenylpiracetam hydrazide. Now, phenylpiracetam is a drug that was developed, I think, in the 70s by the Russian Academy of Sciences, and it was built for Soviet cosmonauts to help with stress in the instances of being in prolonged stress from being in space. All right, off the bat, this is what it does. Number one, it is a selective inhibitor of the DAT, that is the dopamine transporter. What that's going to translate to is a temporary period of a higher availability of dopamine. Number two, most of the racetam drugs, including phenylpiracetam, increase choline content in the brain and thus choline release, specifically in a region associated with memory called the hippocampus. And number three, interestingly, phenylpiracetam is actually an agonist at the A4B2 nicotinic acetylcholine receptors. Now, those receptors are involved in a lot of things, but as it relates to nootropic and pre-workout benefits, number one, learning and memory, but number two, the A4B2 receptor, when you agonize it, fosters growth hormone secretion. Now, that's effectively what it's doing. So on the technical side, all the hydrazide version is it's slicing off the amide group and putting a hydrazide group on. And what that translates to is a better, more potent effect with lower doses of the compound. So rather than taking 200 or something milligrams, which is what people usually take of phenylpiracetam, you can get away with taking like 50 milligrams of phenylpiracetam hydrazide to get this effect. My suggestion on dose range would be between 20 and 100 milligrams. People are going to have to find their sweet spot. My personal sweet spot is 55 milligrams phenylpiracetam hydrazide. When I take it, I feel lit up like a Christmas tree. I feel like energized, very motivated, kind of into whatever the hell it is that I'm doing, especially the gym. And it makes my gym workouts easier. It makes me push harder. It makes me reach for PRs. Like, I'm more focused on my goals, and I actually feel like I have more physical strength in the gym, which is actually a perfect segue into why it's a potent pre-workout. Number one, forcing more choline release is going to facilitate muscle contraction and thus give you more strength in the gym and endurance. Number two, the hippocampal choline release is going to make you more focused. Like sometimes, like the difference between, for me at least, like a workout where I actually get more done and I'm really focused on whatever I'm doing and not, is the focus part. And that's why I usually like to dose certain nootropics before my workout. It just helps. And then lastly, the DAT inhibition is going to provide you more extracellular availability of dopamine. And that's going to translate to more focus and more energy, just being motivated about your workout. I dose it 1 to 2 times a week, and that, look, I would dose it more. It's just that I have a lot of other options in my kind of roster, like Torque. Torque is a great pre-workout. Sometimes it's just 2 capsules of Torque, go to the gym, feel like a fucking beast. I dose it usually when I'm in a caloric surplus, like the day prior, like I just eat 500 extra calories or something, because I can use all that extra energy and have all the brain focus and the kind of subjective feeling of strength to go and then maximize as much of those calories as possible at the gym. I mean, this stuff is magic. It's so potent that literally the World Doping Agency put it on the ban list. They banned it from competitive sports and professional athletes taking, because what they found is that because of its stimulant properties, athletes had the inclination to effectively abuse it. So they were taking phenylpiracetam at high doses and doing it consistently and performing better. Like it makes your performance so good and your cognition so functional at the gym and in terms of like doing workouts or any athletic work that it had to be banned from the World Doping Agency. And so what does that mean for you? Well, I mean, I imagine you're not a competitive athlete, most of you. So that means that you basically get away with taking phenylpiracetam and just having optimized performance at the gym and in terms of a nootropic. And what's good about phenylpiracetam or phenylpiracetam hydrazide is it doesn't really have a long half-life, which you would think is bad, but is actually good. Most of it is out of your system between 6 and 10 hours, and the active sort of, you could call it half-life, but really the effect duration window is between 1 and 5 hours. Now, if I look back at my client data, which is tables upon tables and pages upon pages, I realize, like, it's very clear. People respond very well to phenylpiracetam, first of all, so little to no sides. But in addition to that, almost everybody reports just a bunch of positive stuff when taking energy, focus, motivation, memory, the will to do work, that sort of zest for life and drive. And what I think is really awesome about it is that, I mean, you don't really have to take it with anything else. Sure, it does force some more choline release, so, you know, it would behoove you. I love that word. It would behoove you. I had a first sergeant in the Army that would always fucking use that word. It would behoove you guys. Show up at formation on time, dicks. It would behoove you to have enough choline in your diet or supplementally, and whether that's, you know, you're low dosing alpha GPC or citicholine, or you're consuming eggs in the morning. It's useful to have enough choline in the diet because you're forcing choline release, so replenishing it is a good idea to keep brain homeostasis. But otherwise, the stuff can be dosed by itself. I mean, you have a nootropic pre-workout that you don't need to go and take like a complex stack. You don't need to weigh out a bunch of stuff on the scale and capsule it. Just little bit of phenylpiracetam hydrozide, and you're on your way. Off to the races. Takes about 20 minutes for most people to activate and start working. I think it's water soluble, so you don't really need to consume it with fat or anything. Water's just fine. And it's one of the most like underrated, because I hear people talking about it, but not to the extent that I think they should, because it's exciting. It's a very powerful compound. And when I take it, like, my day is different. You know, my workouts are different, and then my ensuing productivity is different. Nootropic pre-workout. Again, as I mentioned earlier, the source that has it right now is Nootropic Source. No affiliation, because on this channel we don't talk products up falsely so that you can go to an affiliate link and we get commission for it. I have no affiliation with them. It's just a company that I've been using for years, and that's where I get my phenylpiracetam hydrozide from. In fact, I'm running low, and that's making me anxious. Now, look, you could stack phenylpiracetam with other things if you want a more intense version of the stimulant properties. Most people aren't going to need that, but if you were to do that, the best compounds to stack it with would be number 1, teocrine, number 2, theobromine, number 3, Alcar, and number 4, either L-tyrosine or N-acetyl L-tyrosine, which is NALT. Those are going to synergize with the stimulant-esque properties that phenylpiracetam brings to the table. You definitely get it in powder, weigh it out, find your ideal dose, take it 20 minutes before the gym, and go to town. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, products support this broadcast, but they're ours, and they're nootropic products. Both of them, too, could serve as pre-workouts. Like, I take Torque as a pre-workout. Here are the products. Number 1, the Cortex Stack. This is motivation, mental energy, verbal fluency in a pill. Very, very potent nootropic. Been on the market for 8 years. Get it in the description of this video or our website, livecortex.com. Best way to get it is on auto ship. Secondarily, the Torque Stack. Now, this is a potent pre-workout nootropic because it gives you a lot of clean stimulant energy, allows you to focus, gives you motivation. It's basically everything anyone could ever want in a nootropic and a pre-workout. I mean, you could use it for both. It's called Torque. You could get it at livecortex.com, and the link for it is literally in the description of this video. For those of you that want to support us, support us by getting great products that actually work. Lastly, if you need my help to formulate your nootropic regimen, to formulate a biohacking regimen for whatever is ailing you or wherever your goals are orienting you to be better, to dial in your TRT protocol, to raise your testosterone naturally, a host of things in between. I'll flash in front of the screen kind of my area of expertise. I spend probably 2 to 3 hours a day doing consulting for people, and I'm helping a lot of men, I have for years, to feel, perform, and function awesomely. You can hire me in under a minute at livecortex.com. Go book. Let's go. Appreciate you being with me. Thanks for watching the video. Much more content to come soon, and I will talk to you on the next one.